I've been seeing this type of edit a lot on Instagram, and it's mostly used for like sports edits like basketball and football, or my bad, soccer for my North American viewers.
This guy's like the phenom guy, right? He's like the LeBron James of soccer.
Definitely.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think my brain just committed suicide.
And after some digging, I found out this type of edit is called a kinetic edit. I know, it's a pretty creative name. So I ended up trying to recreate it myself. So here's a couple different effects you guys can use in your next video. Okay, let's stop yapping. Alright, so essentially this was kind of the inspiration for making this kind of video. So yeah, this is the effect we're gonna try to recreate, this like line transition effect between the two clips. So anyways, this is kind of the video that I made. Essentially it's pretty good right now, but again we're trying to recreate that like effect or transition between this clip and then this one. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna add a adjustment layer. So you can do that by going to layer, new, and then adjustment layer. Just place it above your two clips. But the effect we're going to be using is the black and white effect. That's going to be the first effect you're going to have. So for this, you basically want to keep it like this. You don't really want to change anything. And then the second effect we're going to add is the minimax effect. So for this effect, just go operation, make sure it's on maximum. We're going to need that. Channel, color, and then direction. This is where you actually want to change it. You just want to keep it horizontal. And so what this does is if I increase the radius, see how it adds like this kind of cool effect. So if you keep it like horizontal and vertical, it kind of looks like blocks or cubes. Keeping it horizontal adds like that line effect, which is what we kind of want. So yeah, what we're going to do is at the center, we're just going to add a keyframe to radius and change this to 100. And then I'm just going to go in here and press U just to like see the keyframes. And then this is where we're going to go back 3 keyframes. So 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to change the radius to 0. And then same thing, I'm going to go in front 1, 2, 3. Then change the radius to 0. Alright, so after that, we're going to add the Luma key effect. So just type in Luma key, just add it right here. And also you want to make sure you want to add like these effects in this order specifically, because if you add them in a different order, it actually changes the effect and transition. I don't know if you guys ever knew that, but I found out the hard way. But anyways, so for the Luma key effect, you want to keep it as K out darker and then the rest keep it the same. And then you kind of want to follow the same pattern. So at the center over here, we're just gonna have we're gonna change the threshold to 200, just like that. And then we're gonna go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, somewhere around here. Change this to 0, and then same thing, go in front 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then change the threshold to 0. So you can see it already. It looks kind of good. So now what we're gonna do is add our final effect, which is the deep glow effect. This is a paid effect, unfortunately, but you could use like the regular glow effect. So I'm just gonna take this down a lot to like 0.08. Yeah, like that, that's more than enough. So yeah, this doesn't look too bad. So now what we're gonna do is I'm also gonna go over here and then press T on my adjustment layer, and then I'm gonna adjust the opacity. So I'm gonna press T, put a keyframe on opacity, make it 0 right in the middle where the transition happens like the others. And then I'm going to go also 5 frames to the back and then change this to 0. And then go forward 5 frames and then change this to 0 as well. So now we have this. Finally, we need to do now is just change these the speed graphs. So for this, I also use a plugin called Flow. Highlight them all, press F9, and then press the speed graph editor button, and then just kind of move this all the way to the right or to the left, and then move this all the way to the right. So you have this kind of graph. So you want to do the same thing with opacity. So highlight them all, press F9, and that basically eases them, turn them into this kind of graph. And then same thing, you just want to move all this all the way to the right, and then this all the way to the left, like that. So that's how the opacity curves looks like. And then finally the Luma key. So this one, you could also do the same thing, but I think it might look better if I actually move this a bit to the opposite side. So let's just see how it looks like now. So yeah, that's pretty sick. So we can literally just, let's say, color this to this, call this transition effect, and then just duplicate it. Actually, before we duplicate it, what you can do is you can go to the center where this effect is like at its peak, add a marker over here, and then now duplicate it. And then I can just use it whenever else I want, wherever else I want to use it. So I can just move it all the way here, line it up between these two clips. So now, so yeah, that's pretty sick. So that's our first effect done. Only took like 30 minutes. All right, so our next effect that we're gonna go and look at is the tracery effect. What do you see over here? Like these like kind of lines and like blobs, kind of like data scattering. This effect, unfortunately though, is a paid effect as well. So how we're gonna use it here is actually I'm just gonna turn this transition off, and I'm gonna go up and create another or a new adjustment layer, and then I'm just gonna make it kind of the same length as the one below it. And all I'm gonna do is, after installing it of course into After Effects, you just put it on your adjustment layer, and then for the key color, just gonna choose the jersey color, and I'm gonna take this up to like something around 80 or 88. Also, you can press show mask here. This shows you like kind of what points it's adding the boxes around. So I think, yeah, like around 80, 90 should be fine. Turn off the mask. Then here, now you can do whatever you want, but for me personally, I'm gonna be turning off the center marker settings, turn this off. I'm gonna change the border color. I can change it to white. And then over here, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna also do actually not a opacity. I'm gonna do a threshold keyframe. So I'm just gonna press the clock over here, and then right as it's gonna transition, I'm gonna change this over here to 0, just like this. So something like that. And so now what we want to do is we want to put this adjustment layer. I'm actually gonna rename it to tracery. I'm gonna put it under our transition effect, and then so now when we turn it on, you can actually see kind of looks pretty cool. So let's just watch this one more time. And then I'm just gonna duplicate it and then put it over here as well. And then maybe over here I'll change the color to maybe something like this. Here we can lower the threshold, so something like this, maybe 80 should be fine. So yeah, that's the second effect, which is the tracery effect. You can also mess around and add more to it, but this looks pretty good for me for this kind of scene. So for our third effect, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add like this glitch effect, like over here. So it kind of like matches the beat. So that's what we're gonna do now. This one is really easy. First of all, go down here to your music and then press L twice to show the waveform. And then all you have to do is kind of find like the beats. So basically what I did is I found the beats and then I just marked them up. So I added the marker wherever the beats hit. I'm just gonna go to each beat. So like let's do the first one. I'm just gonna duplicate my video. Only have it for, let's say for one frame here, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add a mask. So let's say the first mask, we're gonna do it over here. Remove reptile. So now if I solo this out, this is what it looks like, and then I'm just gonna add an invert to it, just like that. So now all I have to do is just, easiest way I think is just doing this, and then going up here, Control-Shift-D to duplicate it, and then I'm just gonna move the mask. I'm gonna move the mask to another point like that, and then here maybe take this back, move it here, break it up over here. So now this one have to move again. Let's do it to like here. So yeah, now I basically just keep repeating the same step over and over again, making sure I just match the cuts to the beat. And yeah, this is what the video looks like now after adding all the cuts. Okay, so for our final effect, what I want to do now is add a kind of like a shake somewhere around this point. We're going to do it without any plugins or anything. We're just going to create it from scratch. So how we're going to do this is I'm just going to add an adjustment layer over here and then make it kind of this size, I guess. I don't know. Now this method or this impact method or shake method or transition, whatever you want to call it, I actually learned it from another YouTuber called AR Sacker. Then all you're gonna do is you're gonna add the transform effect, then you're gonna add the slider control effect, and then just go to the position, hold Alt, and then press on the stopwatch right next to it, and then this opens the expression panel, and you can just type in wiggle 7, comma, and then here you want to drag this pick whip and then drag it onto the slider. And so what this does is adds like its own like code in here. What's happening is I think the wiggle is frequency amplitude or amplitude frequency. I'm actually not sure. Okay, wait, I think it's frequency amplitude. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. This is the frequency, so this is like how many times it moves per second, and then here the amplitude, which is how far it can wiggle or how much it can wiggle. Anyways, so now what we can do, since this is now kind of the amplitude, the controller, so I'm just gonna add a keyframe, go at the start, make sure it's 0, and then like maybe around here turn it up to like 70. And so this is like kind of where you want the impact to happen, the shake to happen, and then go back all the way around like here and then take it back to 0. And then I'm just gonna highlight all of these, press F9, open the graph editor, and then let's see how it looks like now. Yeah, you can kind of see like a small movement. So maybe we can even move it a bit to the right, like somewhere around here. We can even increase it, I guess, if you guys want, to like 100. Yeah, I think that's good. So yeah, that's basically it. Let me know if you guys want more videos like this. These are kind of easy to make, or I make them as I go. So whenever I find or learn some new skill or some new effect, I'm like, oh, probably should make a video out of it. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next video.